Commission meeting is March 22nd, 2023. Present are
Susan Tucker.
Hollis Adams, Select Board Representative.
Patty Gale, Planning Assistant.
Jean Walker.
David Neiman.
Evelyn Miller. Oh, no.
No, do you want me?
You should speak your name.
Okay, Jane Raymond. Unofficial.
We want you.
And Andrew Chaplin.
Okay. First on the,
Haven't sworn in
first,
yet.
first on the agenda
Sorry.
is map 5, lot 14 and 14-1. Conditional use permit review of public service in New Hampshire, Eversource easement owner for a property to replace overhead electrical utility structures along the existing C-196 and Q-171 transmission lines as part of an ongoing rebuild project. Some of the new replacement structures, site improvement will be located within the Wetland Surface Water Conservation District. A conditional use permit is required per section 13.3.7 and section 13.3.7.1 of Goffstown zoning ordinance to replace structures within the Wetland and Surface Water Conservation District. We have people here to present. Just state your name. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Nick Golan. I'm a licensed engineer and principal with TF Moran.
Natasha Morales, PM for Eversource.
All right, so relative to the application that's before you, this is an important utility infrastructure project, and it's really an ongoing project relative to an item in which you previously reviewed. In was it July of last year, the structures that are associated with this line were approved by this group as part of a conditional use permit. What was missing was the fact that we also need pull pads in order to actually install the lines. So it was just an unfortunate omission. We're back this evening to add in that element to make sure that all impacts are clearly listed. You'll see a lot of redundancy in this application relative to the application that was previously approved. Relative to what's required for this outside of the conditional use permit that would be reviewed by you folks and then passed along to the planning board. There is also a shoreland permit by notification and then also a DS wetland utility maintenance statutory permit by notification, or otherwise an SPN. Those applications have yet to be filed as our coordination with New Hampshire Fish and Game is ongoing. We had some good correspondence with Kat at Fish and Game just today as to what her expectations were. The notes that are currently listed on the plan are all in keeping with what they are looking for. The only clarifications they were seeking were when are we starting and how long will it take? And Natasha, do you have in general that information as far as, I think we were looking at the fall
For the lines themselves. We're gonna start, spring of 2024.
Okay.
That's what it's looking like. Unfortunately, we've had some lead time issues with materials. So for the cutovers for the lines, we're thinking early spring of 2024.
And when we really think about the duration of the assignment as far as how long those mats are going to be in place?
Depending on outage availability, so along with the spring time frame, we might be skipping summer because of load restrictions and going into the fall.
So we're talking that these mats would be in place for less than a year. And in part, there's a reason why that has come up and why Kat asked as a question is I know there's a renewed focus on the duration of time in which these mats are in place, trying to avoid them leapfrogging through one growing season and into another to make sure that there are no adverse impacts to any of the existing vegetation. So I'm only able to connect with Natasha today as to that information, but we'll be able to provide that to Fish and Game. Our expectation is that would be agreeable, and then with that correspondence we'd be able to make the filing for our state permits. I won't be overly wordy with this application. I think the information you have before you is fairly straightforward, but we're happy to expound on any elements, or if you'd like us to formally read the application, I'm available to do that as well. Thank you, Hollis. There's a few pages in there, and I imagine there's other things you guys would like to move on to, but
We know this gig.
yep.
Yeah. Do we have any questions for them? Anybody?
I think just an overall
I think we've seen this.
description of the pad
Yeah.
and the work that goes in the pad and what
Yeah.
that involves, not the entire.
That's usually the question we have, is the pad, yeah.
Because that's really all we're looking at is the pads tonight, right?
All right, great.
Jane had a question.
Jane, you had a question?
I would like to know how long these permits are issued for. Because if this isn't gonna start until spring of 2024, and it may go into the fall, is the oh, it's 5 years.
They can be renewed for an additional 5 years.
Okay, that's what I want. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or concerns, or? I know we've heard
I
this
think
spiel
since
before.
we've seen them
Yeah, we've seen them a few
on a
times.
regular.
It's nice to see you guys again nonetheless.
I think we're very pleased with you.
Yeah.
Our town is very, very pleased, particularly after this last storm. We're really.
So,
We weren't out for too long.
so do we want
they
to
were
make,
great.
someone want to make a motion to?
Well, just a couple of questions.
Yeah, go ahead,
on that.
Carlos.
Any T&E species?
Yep, so there were T&E species listed. I will rattle those off for you quickly. Same things that had shown up as part of the prior evaluation. I think it was our typical host of snakes,
Snakes.
northern black racer, smooth green snake, and wood turtle was the other one that was identified.
Mainly snakes,
I'm sorry?
mainly snakes?
Yep. Well, to be expected when you're close to a water body, you've got the sandy soils. Yep.
And did you coordinate with Fish and Game
Yep.
relative
Yeah, he
to
said-
potential restriction, time of year restrictions?
Yep, so they had asked us just the two questions, when are we gonna start and what's the duration? And we expect to be able to get back to Cat tomorrow with that info.
Okay. Any other questions, Carlos?
On the primary functions we need to be concerned with, I'm looking at it now, the
Relative to the wetland.
functional evaluation form. Trying to find anything
So
significant,
I
I
can read
don't.
those up. So flood flow, alteration,
Yeah.
groundwater recharge, discharge, the typical sediment toxin retention, nutrient removal, production export, and there is some wildlife habitat, obviously, when we look at it in relationship to Fish and Game's findings.
Okay.
So hopefully this is get in, get out, and let Mother Nature go back.
But
to
oftentimes,
what
this kind of work actually improves certain types of wildlife habitat, so there's some kind of a give and take there.
she is. It is a balancing act.
Yeah.
Very true.
Okay, that's all I had.
Anyone else?
No, I just noticed on
I
the,
saw snakes and their
well,
turtles too.
on the printout, it shows hognose snake. I don't have any sightings in Goffstown, do we? Is that just the alert for these?
You know what, that may be as simple as that pamphlet has both snakes on it, and they made it into the back of the
Yeah.
corner.
I mean, I'd love to find an eastern hognose snake in Goffstown, but haven't seen one here yet.
Bow and Concord seem to be the hot spot with those guys.
We do have black racers, I've seen them numerous times. So that depiction I know is true. Never seen the green snake either.
Greens.
Oh, I have.
Wonderful, have you? Wonderful.
And
Anything else, or are we ready to, somebody ready to make a motion to pass this, move it on to planning? Evelyn?
I move that we pass their request to,
recommend
Recommend
the
to
granting of the conditional use permit.
oh, yes, thank you.
There you go.
Do we have a
Done this
second on
before,
that?
too.
Second? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay.
Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you
time as
again.
usual.
Thank you.
Thanks
for the compliment.
Thank you.
Oh,
Okay,
that sounds, you really did a great job.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
thank you.
Really work hard, thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
We're going to
Thank you.
discuss the milfoil at our next meeting, and we need to do corrections and on the minutes of February 22nd, 2022. Does anyone have corrections or? Nobody? Then somebody want to make a motion to,
I make a motion that we accept the minutes.
we have a second on that? Everyone, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm abstaining.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Collis,
Yes.
you're next.
Oh,
Legislative
Thank you.
update as you requested.
so just want to make people aware of some pending legislation that's working its way through, right now through the House. Hasn't crossed over the Senate. It's going to go over to the Senate first week in April. But there's a couple of bills. One of them is House Bill 2. House Bill 2 is the governor's budget. And it includes in it a lot of stuff. It's a couple, 300 pages long. But of import to us is he's trying to make a run for president, what he's trying to do, but he wants to make government lean, state government lean. So the bill proposes to combine a bunch of different boards and committees at the state level. One of those being through the Office of Professional Licensure and Certification. They're the ones who certify wetland scientists, soil scientists, wildlife biologists, and a whole bunch of other. There's some 50-plus different boards, from nurses to masseuses to you name it. I mean, the list
Foresters.
is long.
Foresters.
Foresters.
Med techs.
Yeah. So it's working its way through, but of particular import is the wetland scientists, soil scientists, and wildlife biologists. They're enforcers that are being proposed to either be combined with other boards or eliminated. So there's been a lot of testimony on this. It's gone over to ED&A, the Executive Department and Administration, I think is what it's called. So it's bouncing around in the House right now, and it's being rewritten and amended as it goes along. But it's important to towns like us, because many, including Goffstown, many towns require those stamps on development plans and subdivision plans before we'll even accept the application. So if they do away with those certification requirements and the need for stamps, there goes, we rely heavily on those for the technical information it brings to us, so it helps inform our decision-making process. So it's been a very contentious bill, a pair of bills. That's HB 2, and then House Bill 655 is the other one, which specifically targets the soil scientists, wetland scientists, wildlife biologists, foresters. So I bring this up, and I know New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions has already written a letter
Yes, we have.
voicing opposition to it. We may want to get engaged by writing a letter. The governor is hell-bent on this. He wants to make government leaner, meaner, and smaller.
I couldn't agree more. I think we absolutely should write a letter on this. It's just insane. It's truly insane. It's all sorts of other professional licensures beyond our immediate environmental concerns. I want a licensed practical nursing assistant to be qualified and licensed,
Yes.
not just, come in off the street and
Yeah.
take this job. I want a med tech to be trained and certified.
Yeah.
That's, you're going and having work done to determine your health. That's important for physicians to rely upon, and they want to do away with the certification, or Sununu does. It is the stupidest thing I've ever seen come out of Concord, and that's a really low bar.
So I serve on the board of directors for an organization known as the New Hampshire Association of Natural Resource Scientists, or NANNERS, nanner, as my wife likes to always say when I bring it up. And we've written many letters, I think we've written 4 to date, to either the House committees, and one letter directly to the governor, who wrote back to us and refuted, and basically called us idiots, and building fiefdoms and yada, 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 yada. It was an unbelievable letter directly to our association.
Wow.
He wants to move forward because this is the Liberty State, and it's like, whoa. So it's getting pretty nasty. And in our letter, I did make sure we had language in there saying that municipal boards land use boards rely heavily on those stamps and the expertise they bring. His argument is we don't need a New Hampshire certified wetland scientist qualified person. We've got professional wetland scientists at the national level. That ain't going to cut it, because a PWS in Arizona doesn't know squat about what happens here in New Hampshire and New England area. They need the specific knowledge and experience here in New Hampshire to hold that, to make sure that they make qualified, and they provide support to folks like us in a proper manner. So it's getting nasty, and I think we ought to write a letter. Let me just finish where it is in the process. So April 6th, it's crossing over to the Senate. So they're almost done on the House side. When it goes over to the Senate, it's going to be really tricky, because you only got 24 people there that you need to kind of get a majority on to get this passed through. Jeb Bradley is the Senate president. But I would think we would probably want to very seriously consider drafting a letter. And I can provide
Patty
Patty,
with-
who are you? Yeah, Patty. Copies of our letter, because you can pull some language from that. you know.
Okay.
We don't mind you plagiarizing it.
All right,
Doing it, so.
good.
You could also get a
So
copy
we-
of the
Could you
NHACC
go-
Yeah.
you
letter.
could help
Yeah.
like-
Patty
I might
Wicks
rely
also.
on you to
So this is a
critique it.
letter,
To the governor?
Yeah,
but wait, we can't do it a blanket, we're completely, I mean, what we have to do is we're conservation and we have to talk about the things that we're interested in, right? I mean, we can't go
Yep.
and
Correct.
That's-
add all of these things, it's
But the wetland scientists are
the wetlands.
crucial.
That's what I'm saying, so that's what we're focusing on.
yes,
Right.
correct.
Well, that's essentially what NHACC has
Okay,
done.
so between
focused on the
Collis and
environmental
David, they
issues,
should be able to
but
get Patty some
Please
information?
keep in
Okay.
mind that the other things in there are every bit as serious, even
Oh, I
possibly more
understand.
serious.
I
It comes down to
understand,
your
David,
health,
but-
you know?
It's
But
not
coming from,
coming from the Conservation
I know,
Commission.
I'm just saying
Okay.
that
But I
you
think
can
we
also
could,
write letters on your own.
Yeah,
the letter could say, we generally oppose House Bill 2. Most concern specifically these sections of it that pertain to, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'll get you the information, we can craft it up.
Okay.
Will the select board do a letter too? I think it would be good to come from the select board too.
If they want to sign on to it,
Like,
absolutely.
they could do another letter as well. It might be something, I just think as representing the town, you know,
Yeah,
well, the planning board certainly might want to.
yeah.
yeah, Sununu talked about a select group who are noisy and just trying to stand in the way of, it's all about workforce housing, bringing more workforce into New Hampshire, and these are impediments to that. It's unbelievable.
But that, those things they aren't exclusive.
No, of course not. This is all about showing that he's completely crazy to the MAGA crowd so that
Yeah,
he can run for president.
well,
That's
yeah, he
all
wants
it's about.
to do
Nothing sane here.
government reform, reduce the size of government, and he's gonna say, look what I did in New Hampshire, I can do the same thing in DC.
Right.
Basically, and that's where he's going with
Now,
it.
my understanding is today, there was a vote against, I thought the House voted against SB.
There's been several amendments that have come forward. And, was it today or was it yesterday? It was either yesterday, I mean, this is how fast this moves. It changes literally every day. And I'm on the board of Nanners, and we have Zoom sessions literally every day, sometimes twice a day. I mean, we had one at 10 o'clock Saturday morning. I mean, this is how fast this thing is moving. I mean, we're meeting via Zoom sessions. Seems like all the time. Seems all I do anymore, but. So anyways, it's important.
Okay.
It's important to us. It's important, as David says, it's important to a whole host of people
Yeah.
in the state of New Hampshire.
Okay, so we don't have to vote on that, just
No,
recommend that Patty.
No.
Collins,
This is
could
one
you
of
tell me
the
what
mentioned
Nanners
many-
is again?
New Hampshire Association of Natural Resource Scientists.
Okay.
It's
David?
soil scientists, wetland scientists, wildlife biologists. Those are the three big ones, but we did agree to bring foresters in and landscape architects to try and say to the governor, look, we're on board with you shrinking it. Here's what we're willing to do for shrinking, but that's it.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
But the foresters, I think, especially the county foresters,
Yeah,
you're relying on their expertise.
yeah, absolutely. So, kind of the big picture, what's going on.
And we would not be alone by any means. Many other towns and conservation commissions are sending letters.
Okay. Okay, thank you for bringing that forward. We're going to go into non-public. I need a roll call vote to go into.
Susan Tucker, yes.
Well, I think we need to give the reason why. I think we have to go to a non-public session for RSA
Oh, who's going to do
91
that
I'll give it
first?
to you
dash
after.
A, colon, 311, parenthesis D, for discussion of real estate transaction.
Okay, sorry. Now,
Susan Tucker, yes.
I don't get a vote.
Jean Walker, yes.
David Neiman, yes?
I'm not voting.
Evelyn Miller, yes.
Andrew Chaplin, yes.
Okay.
Is the TV on?
We have to wait.